And so you've got all these people with degrees who rationalize what they're doing because that's their degree. That's who they are and what they are. And it just gets worse and worse and worse. And now, as they engineer the crisis, they then pose as the saviors for the next leg of the solution. I want to go to a video clip now for PrisonPlanet.tv viewers and a audio clip for the radio listeners. This is going to be going up at followtherepublic.com. If you want to see it in the highest quality and members quality, in PrisonPlanet.tv members quality, it's in the members medium quality because the super high quality, a lot of folks don't have connections to download or stream. But this is going up in the next 20, 30 minutes at followtherepublic.com. But here it is, premiered on the radio. This is the second major trailer. Rob Jacobson did this one. Another one's coming out tomorrow on the mind control angle in the film. This is kind of a general trailer for Follow the Republic that you can pre-order now, and then that means it'll be shipped out in the order it's received on or before October 21st on DVD in the highest quality and, of course, premiering at PrisonPlanet.tv as well. Okay, and that's going up at followtherepublic.com right now and at PrisonPlanet.tv. And, of course, in the next few hours at the Alex Jones channel on YouTube if you wish to watch it again, or for radio listeners who aren't watching PrisonPlanet.tv right now. Is this the fall of our republic, Mike Rivero? I mean, I think we should be honest that for all intents and purposes, they're killing the dollar. That kills the empire. The country's already broke back over funding the empire because it's not our empire. It's a private banking empire. They're done with us now. They've kind of maxed out our credit card. And then if we don't come to grips with the fact that if we don't have the Bill of Rights and Constitution, we're just more real estate, more conquered dirt, and that by admitting we've seen the fall of our republic, then we can set about getting our country back. Or do you disagree with that statement?
I would say we're at the point right now where we need to start seriously thinking about what we're going to build in the wake of the United States of America, because I don't see this country being able to last much longer. I think much like the USSR, the U.S. government is going to collapse. Now, into that vacuum, a lot of opportunists are going to come in trying to sell us a one-world government or some other ready-made, plug-in, ready-to-rock-and-roll government, and I think we need to be aware of that with buckets of tar and
yeah, that's already happening. You're absolutely right. It's already happening.
So, I think we, the American people, have got to start sitting down and say, okay, if we're going to have a chance to create a whole new country, it is up to us to decide what it's going to be and to make sure that it's taking care of we, the people, and not just another group of rich opportunists coming in and treating the American people like we're just a bunch of herd animals. Now, I don't know if you're seeing these LRADs and these microwave pain guns they're starting to give out to the police forces, but frankly, that's just the modern equivalent of flogging the slaves back to the slave pens.
Exactly, Mike. I wanted to ask you about that. These federal fusion centers going in even in small counties, Obama now admits that's for the patriots, the gun owners, the libertarians, the leftists, anybody that doesn't go along with mainline, drink your fluoride, inject your kids, worship global government. For anybody that's got two brain cells that rub together, they're now deploying LRADs through Homeland Security, saying that's what Northcom's for. They're admitting this is a giant black ski mask. No protest allowed in D.C., no protest allowed in G20. I mean, this is communist China. I mean, this is hellishly illegal.
They're declaring war on the American people. We are now at war with our own government. The government has started the war, and I want to be very careful about this because I don't support and encourage violence, because the first side that starts shooting will be seen as the bad guys in the court of world opinion. And that's why they're losing, because they're beating old women, they're having police dogs attack them, they're being caught provocateuring to make it look like we're throwing stuff first. You're absolutely right. Mike, do you agree with me? They're losing the PR battle big time, but they're so arrogant, their hubris is carrying them through. That's exactly right. What we're dealing with here is Rivero's law of mid-management. We have got all these super elites, most of whom are Cold War fossils who grew up in an age where the government could say and do anything and get away with it. And they're sitting on top of all these mid-level bureaucrats who want to keep their jobs. And so these mid-level bureaucrats are saying, oh, yes, it's all working. They believe you. They still love the political leadership. They're ready to go to war. They're ready to die for Israel, and they're ready to give you more of their money and their children. And so our top leadership is very much out of touch with what's going on in Main Street America, and in that lies the eventual collapse of the U.S. government. They don't know what's really going on out here. They're being kept blind deliberately by their own staffers and aides who don't want to lose their jobs for having messed it up this bad.
Well, that always happens. With Hitler, up until the day before he blew his head off in the bunker, if you believe that official story, the point is they really thought they were going to win the war up until 24 hours before. They were delusional. And I see this more and more. I mean, the worm has turned. I know we're going to win. It's just going to be hellish and bloody and painful, and I would rather not go that route. But power corrupts, and the establishment just thinks they're invincible. And you're right that history shows that they're just repeating the same thing. So how do you see this shaking out, Mike?
I am absolutely convinced that the U.S. government is going to collapse in the manner of the USSR, and we need to study what the Russians did that worked and what the Russians did that did not work. We need to avoid their mistakes. We need to go through our own equivalent of kicking out the oligarchs and putting our nation back on a solid financial track. I mean, look how quickly Putin managed to pay off Russia's debt once they had a working economy that wasn't burdened with centuries of reckless debt.
And let's get this straight. He's not perfect. I mean, we're certainly not. But the point is, exactly, if we debate liberal conservative, nothing's ever going to, you must kick the bankers out. You must arrest them. They're the real government. You must end the Fed. Anything else is cosmetic, and stay there, Mike. I want to get your take on that when we get back. 2 more segments with Mike Rivero, jamming a few of your phone calls. We got the Camp FEMA folks coming out with big developments on that front. Stay with us.
The New World Order beast is genetically modifying your food, mixing vegetables with animals, and now experimenting with viruses. Without a long-term food solution, you will have just 2 options: starve, or surrender. All canned food supplies will eventually run out. What then? Grow your own healthy food and feed your family forever. SurvivalistSeeds.com is now the nation's largest bulk heirloom seed company, and it's owned by a real patriot, Big John Lipscomb. You can now have an infinite amount of healthy vegetables like a watermelon, a bundle of carrots, or tomatoes for a little more than a penny each. SurvivalistSeeds.com. And now you can go into business with Big John at SurvivalistSeeds.com by becoming an affiliate. See his link at SurvivalistSeeds.com.
But just briefly going back to the flu, I mean, we know it's a fraud. We know it's a moneymaker. We know the UN's using it as a way to test global government. They bragged and said that the whole world under UN command on the flu response to the level 6 that they issue when it's not even really a level 6 with the number of cases or deaths. What do you think the overall motive? I mean, was it just profit and power grab? Or do you think in your spidey sense they're planning to really go wild with this and really release something more deadly? Or do they know the nasal spray live virus is going to mutate? They say they know it is, but do they know it's going to mutate into something really bad? I mean, there are a bunch of eugenicists that say they want to kill us. Could this be their global crisis, 100 million people dead?
Well, I think they're definitely trying to create a global crisis in order to justify the bringing on of global government. They wanted to do that with global warming, human-caused global warming, the idea being that if there was a global environmental crisis, it had to have a global controlling authority. That one fell flat on its face because the Earth is actually getting cooler, and the scientific underpinnings of human-caused global warming have basically all been destroyed over the last couple of years. So, okay, global warming isn't going to work. Let's come up with a new crisis. It's the Hegelian dialectic all over again. They're looking to create a global crisis of some kind that will justify or at least sell to the people of the world the necessity for a global government, whether it's a global economic crash, a global flu pandemic, global warming, aliens invading, whatever they think is going to work, that's what they're going to do.
By the way, that's declassified, as you just said, Project Bluebeam. They don't declassify the details, but they admit they've got a fake alien landing project to unify humanity with big hologram machines if they have to. But absolutely, they need a global crisis to offer their global solution. Their latest fear-mongering, I'm sure you saw from the UN, is carbon dioxide is going to make the ocean turn into acid. Yes.
Well, technically, it's already acid because it's carbonic acid, which is the same thing you have in mineral water. And again, they're taking a minor scientific truth and they're blowing it up to be this big, scary threat. But the bottom line is that the Earth is always changing. The climate is always changing. The chemistry is always changing. It never stays the same. This idea that if there's a global government that we will lock the Earth in this particular configuration at some arbitrary definition of what is ideal is absolutely nonsense. It is artificial.
Exactly. Let me throw this at you. I watch on HBO Bill Maher's show sometimes because they re-air it all the time. Every show he shows the wildfires in L.A. and says this is global warming when they've always had wildfires in L.A. And now I've talked to the police out there and it's on their news. Crazy arsonists go and set fires everywhere. And they have overbuilt out there. And you've got people setting fires. And then he showed a dust storm in Australia and said it was the end of the world. They've always had dust storms out of the interior of Australia. I mean, these guys will take a tornado, a tsunami, an earthquake. They're worse than Pat Robertson.